Welcome, truth seekers, to Crimecast USA, where we don't just scratch the surface of the world's most gripping mysteries. We dig down to the bedrock, pulling apart every thread, every shadow, every whisper, until we're left with something that might just resemble the truth. I'm here, your guide through this labyrinth, and today we're stepping into the Karen Read case, a saga so tangled, so haunting, it's kept me awake more nights than I'd care to admit. Picture this. It's January 29th, 2022. A frigid, snow-swept night in Canton, Massachusetts, a small town south of Boston where the wind howls and the streets glisten under a fresh blanket of white. John O'Keefe, a 46-year-old Boston police officer with 16 years of service, a man known for his quiet strength and unwavering dedication, is found dead, his body crumpled in a snowbank outside a friend's house, his head bloodied, his life snuffed. Out in the cold, beside him, frantic and tear-streaked, is Karen Read, his girlfriend of 2 years, a 43-year-old financial analyst and adjunct professor whose world is about to collapse under the weight of suspicion. She's arrested, charged with second-degree murder, accused of running him down with her SUV in a fit of drunken rage after a night of partying gone wrong. But here's where it twists. The first trial ends in a mistrial, a hung jury unable to decide her fate, and now, as of April 2025, a retrial looms on the horizon, promising more revelations, more battles, more questions. Was this a tragic accident? A moment of fury captured in taillight fragments and tire tracks? Or something far darker? A cover-up woven by the very police force John served? A conspiracy to pin the blame on an innocent woman? I first stumbled across this case late one night, scrolling through news feeds when I should have been sleeping, and it hit me like a punch to the gut. How one snowy night could unravel into a war between justice and doubt, how a single death could split a community down the middle, leaving families grieving, supporters rallying, and the rest of us wondering what really happened. This isn't just a story about a crime. It's a story about trust, about the systems we rely on, about the human cost when those systems falter. I'm going to peel back every layer of the Karen Read case, from that fateful night to the courtroom clashes, the defense's wild theories, the public's uproar, and the retrial that's still to come. So settle in, grab something warm to drink, maybe a notebook if you're the type to keep track, because we're not leaving a single stone unturned, and by the end, you might just see this case in a whole new light. Let's set the scene. January 29, 2022, a Saturday night in Canton, Massachusetts, where winter has wrapped the town in a thick, unforgiving shroud of snow, the kind that muffles sound and turns every street into a quiet, frozen tableau. Karen Read and John O'Keefe, a couple who'd been together for about 2 years, are heading to a party at 34 Fairview Road, the home of Brian and Nicole Albert, a place that's about to become the epicenter of a mystery no one saw coming. Karen, at 43, is a woman of numbers and precision, a financial analyst and adjunct professor at Bentley University, her life built on spreadsheets and schedules, her demeanor often described as reserved, analytical, maybe a little guarded. John, 46, is her counterpoint, a Boston police officer with a reputation for reliability, a man who'd spent 16 years patrolling the streets, earning respect from colleagues and neighbors alike, the kind of guy you'd call steady, dependable, a rock in a storm. They'd met a couple of years back, their relationship a mix of comfort and occasional friction, the kind of dynamic that's normal for two strong personalities sharing a life. They weren't married, no kids, just two people navigating the everyday push and pull of love. That night, they pull up to the Albert house around 10:30 p.m., the snow still falling in heavy flakes, the air biting at their skin as they step inside. Brian Albert, the homeowner, is a Boston cop too, a longtime friend of John's, and his wife Nicole keeps the place warm with a crowd of familiar faces, a gathering of friends looking to shake off the winter chill with drinks and laughter. It's a casual scene, music playing low, conversations humming, glasses clinking, nothing to suggest the chaos that's about to unfold. By 12:30 a.m., Karen decides to head out, leaving John behind, telling others he'd find his own way home. Maybe she's tired, maybe they'd had a spat, maybe it's just the ebb of a long night, but she climbs into her black Lexus SUV and drives off into the dark. Hours pass, the party winds down, and John doesn't show up. Then, at 4:30 a.m., Karen's back, her voice cracking over a 911 call, pleading for help because John's missing. First responders rush to the scene, guided by her desperate directions, and there he is, John O'Keefe, lying in a snowbank just outside the Albert home, his body stiff from the cold, his head and face marked by brutal injuries, blood seeping into the snow around him. Karen's beside him, hysterical, her hands shaking as she kneels in the white, her words tumbling out in a frantic loop. I hit him, I hit him. Paramedics try to save him, but it's too late. John's gone, pronounced dead at the hospital. His death ruled a mix of blunt force trauma and hypothermia. The police take one look. Karen's SUV with its cracked taillight, the tire tracks in the snow, her own admission, and they're already building a case. She hit him, intentionally or not, and left him to die. But as the snow settles and the sirens fade, the questions start piling up. What happened in those missing hours? Why was John outside? And was this really as simple as it seemed? The sun barely breaks through the clouds that morning, January 30, 2022, as Canton wakes up to a tragedy. John O'Keefe, a local hero in a blue uniform, is dead, and the woman kneeling over his body, Karen Reed, is about to become the prime suspect in a case that's anything but routine. First responders, paramedics, firefighters, Canton police, swarm the scene at 34 Fairview Road, their boots crunching through the snow as they cordon off the area, their breath visible in the icy air. It's a grim tableau, a man's life extinguished in the cold, a woman sobbing beside him, and a black SUV parked nearby with a taillight that's cracked like a spiderweb, a detail that's about to take center stage. Karen's a mess, her voice hoarse from crying, her clothes disheveled from the night. She tells police she'd gone home after the party, expecting John to follow, but when he didn't, she drove back to find him, her panic mounting with every mile. She says she spotted him in the snow and tried to help, dialing 911 in a haze of fear and confusion. But those words, I hit him, caught on firefighter body cams, hang in the air like a confession, even as she insists she meant nothing by it, just a frantic outburst. The police don't waste time. They examine the SUV, noting the taillight damage, the tire tracks curving through the snow near John's body, the way the scene seems to point to a vehicle's involvement. Witnesses from the party, Brian Albert, Nicole, others, say it was a quiet night. No fights, no drama, just friends unwinding. They didn't hear a crash, didn't see John leave. The medical examiner weighs in fast. John's cause of death is blunt force trauma to the head, compounded by hypothermia, his injuries suggesting something heavy hit him, his body left to freeze in -10-degree wind chill. By February 1st, 2022, the Massachusetts State Police, led by Trooper Michael Proctor, have their theory. Karen and John argued that night. She drove off, hit him, maybe accidentally, maybe not, and abandoned him in the snow. A domestic spat turned fatal. They charge her with second-degree murder, vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated, and leaving the scene of a collision causing death, serious counts that could lock her away for life. Karen's stunned, her lawyers stepping in to plead not guilty. She loved John, she says, would never hurt him, and there's no way her SUV did this. The evidence, though, looks tough. Those taillight fragments found near John, her own statement, a timeline with her as the last one with him. It's a case that feels open and shut to the cops, but as they haul her into custody, the cracks in their story are already starting to show, and this investigation's about to take a turn no one expected. Fast forward to spring 2023. Karen Reed's trial begins in a Norfolk County courtroom, a beige-walled space packed with tension, reporters cramming the benches, TV cameras humming outside, the air thick with anticipation as the community braces for answers about John O'Keefe's death. Karen, now 44, sits at the defense table, her face pale but composed, her dark hair pulled back, her eyes scanning the room. She's no longer just a professor or a girlfriend. She's the accused, a woman whose life hangs on every word spoken here. The prosecution, led by Assistant DA Adam Lally, strides in with confidence, ready to prove Karen's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. They've got a story, a tight one. After a night of drinking at Brian Albert's party, Karen and John fought. She got behind the wheel of her SUV, and in a moment of fury or reckless panic, she struck him, sending him tumbling into the snow where he'd die alone, her taillight shattering as evidence of the impact. They've got physical proof, they say. Those red taillight fragments scattered near John's body matched to her Lexus, tire tracks in the snow showing a sharp maneuver. John's injuries, a brutal head wound and hypothermia, consistent with being hit by a vehicle moving at speed. They've got witnesses, firefighters who rushed to the scene at 4:30 a.m., testifying under oath that Karen was beside John, hysterical, repeating, I hit him, a statement they frame as a raw, unfiltered admission of guilt. They've got experts lined up, a forensic pathologist to explain how John's skull fractures align with the car's force, an accident reconstructionist to map how Karen's SUV could have reversed and clipped him, sending him 30 feet to where he landed. And they've got motive. Text messages between Karen and John, pulled from their phones, revealing a relationship on the rocks, arguments bubbling up in the weeks before, maybe even that night, painting a picture of a woman pushed to the edge. The courtroom hushes as Lally opens. This is a case about a woman who made a terrible choice, and a man who paid the ultimate price. It's a powerful start, a narrative that feels airtight. Karen's the villain, John's the victim, and the evidence ties it together like a bow. But as the gavel falls and the prosecution rests its opening, the defense rises, ready to shatter that neat little package with a story of their own, one that's about to turn this trial upside down. The prosecution's case unfolds over weeks, a slow, methodical march through evidence and testimony designed to bury Karen Reed under a mountain of guilt. Assistant DA Adam Lally stands before the jury, his voice steady, his exhibits meticulously arranged, painting a picture so vivid you can almost hear the snow crunching under tires that night. They start with the physical stuff. The black Lexus SUV, Karen's pride and joy, now a centerpiece of the crime scene, its right rear taillight cracked and splintered. Fragments of that same red plastic found sprinkled across the snow near John's body, a forensic match confirmed by lab techs who testify with charts and photos, showing how the pieces fit like a grim puzzle. Tire tracks weave through the snow, captured in police photos, curved, sharp, suggesting a vehicle backed up fast, maybe in panic. And the prosecution's accident expert takes the stand, a gray-haired man with a pointer, walking the jury through a 3D model. Karen's SUV reverses, clips John, sends him flying, lands him where he's found. It's precise, it's scientific, it's chilling. Then there's John's body. The autopsy report lays it bare, blunt force trauma to the head, a fractured skull, bruises blooming across his face, hypothermia setting in as his core temperature dropped in the -10 wind chill. Drive. Renee Stone, the forensic pathologist, testifies in a calm, clinical tone, explaining how a vehicle moving at 20 to 25 miles per hour could have caused this, how the impact matches the height of an SUV's rear bumper, how the cold finished what the crash started. Witnesses pile on. Those firefighters, bleary-eyed from an early shift, recount Karen's words at the scene, "I hit him," delivered in sobs as she knelt over John, their body cams rolling, their testimony unshakable. She said it, they heard it, it's fact. Friends from the party, Brian Albert, Nicole, a couple others, say it was a normal night, no big fights. But John and Karen seemed off, maybe tense, and she left alone, a detail that feeds the prosecution's timeline. Then the texts, projected on a screen, messages between Karen and John from January, sharp-edged exchanges about time apart, small resentments flaring, one from that week reading, "You're always on me, I need space," hinting at a simmering conflict that could have boiled over. Lally ties it together in closing arguments. Karen Reed drank too much, argued with John, got in her car, and made a choice. She hit him, she left him, she killed him. It's a case built on hard evidence, emotional weight, and a story that feels tragically plausible. By the time they rest, the jury's nodding, the courtroom's heavy, and Karen's looking like a woman with nowhere to run. But the defense isn't here to roll over. Karen Reed's legal team, led by sharp-tongued attorney Alan Jackson, steps into the ring with a counterpunch that's as audacious as it is unsettling. John O'Keefe wasn't killed by Karen's SUV, they say. He was beaten to death inside Brian Albert's house, then dumped in the snow to frame her, a conspiracy orchestrated by cops protecting their own. The courtroom shifts, murmurs ripple through the gallery, and Jackson lays it out with a mix of skepticism and swagger, his voice rising as he dismantles the prosecution's case piece by piece. Start with the SUV. No blood, no tissue, no dents on the bumper, just a cracked taillight that could have happened anytime, anywhere. Where's the carnage you'd expect if it slammed into a 200-pound man at speed? Their crash expert, a wiry guy with decades in the field, testifies with a model of his own. No skid marks in the snow, no signs of a high-impact collision. The tire tracks too vague to pin on Karen's Lexus alone. Paramedics, cops, anyone could have left them. Then John's injuries. Drive, Frank Sheridan, the defense pathologist, takes the stand, his glasses glinting as he flips through photos. No broken legs, no pelvic fractures, injuries typical of a pedestrian hit hard by a car. Just a head wound and scratches on his arms that look defensive, like he fought someone off. Maybe even claw marks from a dog inside the Albert home. Karen's "I hit him?" A trauma expert explains she'd been drinking, hadn't slept, was freezing, and in shock. Her words were a garbled cry, not a confession, easily misheard or misinterpreted in the chaos. Then the big swing. The cover-up. Brian Albert's a cop. His brother Chris a Canton selectman, and Michael Proctor, the lead investigator, has ties to both. Drinks at their bar, knows their family. The defense pulls text showing Proctor joking with Brian days after. No search of the house that night. Witnesses like the Alberts interviewed weeks late, if at all. They hint at a fight. John clashing with someone inside, maybe over a grudge, maybe a drunken shove gone wrong, and a plan to pin it on Karen, the outsider. It's thin on proof, heavy on doubt, but Jackson's closing lands hard. This isn't justice. It's a setup. And Karen Reed's the scapegoat. The jury's eyes widen, and the prosecution's neat story starts to fray. The trial stretches into weeks, and a handful of moments rise above the noise, snapshots that define the battle between guilt and innocence, each one a tug of war over what the jury believes. Let's walk through them, because these are the beats that'll echo long after the gavel falls. First, those firefighters, 3 of them, burly guys in navy jackets, take the stand early, their voices steady as they recount that 4:30 a.m. scene. Karen kneeling in the snow, John's body still, her saying, I hit him, over and over, caught on grainy body cam footage played for the jury, the audio raw, her sobs cutting through static. It's the prosecution's golden ticket, a moment Lally replays in slow motion, letting it sink in. She admitted it, right there, no coercion, no script, but the defense pounces on cross. Was she coherent? Was she slurring? Could she have meant something else? And one firefighter falters, admitting she was a wreck, maybe not thinking straight, planting a seed of ambiguity. Then the forensic showdown. The prosecution's Dr. Stone stands firm, her slides showing John's skull fractures, mapping how an SUV's rear could have smashed into him, her tone cool, authoritative, unshaken even under grilling. But Dr. Sheridan for the defense fires back, his own slides highlighting the scratches, the lack of lower body trauma, his voice rising as he suggests a beating, not a crash, maybe a dog in the mix. The jury scribbles notes, heads tilt, the science splits them. Witnesses from the party, Brian Albert, Nicole, a friend named Sarah, say it was calm, no big blowout, but the defense digs. Did you see John leave? Hear anything outside? And their vague nose-leave gaps, hints of something unseen. A bartender from earlier that night testifies Karen had 3 drinks, enough to slur, but not blackout. A detail both sides spin. Proof of rage, or just a blurry night? Each moment builds tension, a push-pull of certainty and doubt, and by the end, the jury's faces show it. They're lost in the weeds, wrestling with a truth that's slipping through their fingers. The trial's endgame hits like a thunderclap. After weeks of testimony, exhibits, and arguments, the case lands with the jury, 12 men and women from Norfolk County tasked with deciding Karen Reed's fate, locked in a room with stacks of evidence, transcripts, and a weight that's almost palpable. They deliberate for days. 5, to be exact. Starting June 25, 2024, their voices muffled behind closed doors, the courthouse buzzing with reporters, supporters, John's family pacing the halls, everyone waiting for a verdict that'll close this chapter. Inside, it's chaos. Some jurors latch onto the prosecution. Karen's words, the tail light, the timeline. It's too neat to ignore. Others cling to the defense. No blood on the SUV, the cop ties, the injuries that don't quite fit. It's too messy to convict. Notes slip out to the judge. We're deadlocked. We can't agree. And Judge Beverly Cannon, a no-nonsense veteran, pushes them back. Keep trying. Deliberate fully. But by July 1st, it's over. They're split, maybe 7-5 or 8-4, no one knows for sure, and they tell Canony they're hopeless, their faces drawn, their patience shot. She calls them in, the courtroom packed, Karen standing rigid beside her lawyers, John's brother Paul clutching a photo of him, and Cannon declares a mistrial, her gavel banging like a gunshot, the room erupting in gasps, shouts, tears. Karen's free, for now, walking out into a sea of cameras, her expression unreadable. The prosecution's furious, vowing to retry, Lally telling the press, we'll get justice for John. The defense claims victory, Jackson smirking, the truth held. Outside, Canton fractures. John's family sobs, calling it a failure, while Karen's backers cheer, a pink wave of relief. It's no ending, just a pause, a deep breath before the next round, and the questions linger heavier than ever. With the mistrial dust settling, the defense doesn't let up. They double down, turning their courtroom theory into a full-on crusade, a narrative so wild it's almost cinematic. Karen Reed didn't kill John O'Keefe, they insist. He was murdered inside Brian Albert's house, beaten by someone, maybe Albert, maybe another cop, and dumped in the snow, a cover-up stitched together by a tight-knit brotherhood in blue. Alan Jackson and his team lean into the details, every loose end a lifeline. Michael Proctor, the state police trooper running the case, becomes their poster boy for corruption. He's friends with the Alberts. Texts show him joking with Brian post-death, calling Karen that chick with a wink, his investigation suspiciously light on the house itself. No warrant, no sweep, just a glance while the real evidence sat inside. Brian's brother, Chris Albert, a Canton selectman, adds clout to the theory, local power, police loyalty, a perfect shield. They revisit John's injuries. Those scratches on his arms, deep and jagged, could be from the Alberts' German shepherd, Chloe, they say, a dog known to be protective. The head trauma could have come from fists or a blunt object, not a car, and a lack of lower body breaks screams fight, not crash. The SUV? Still no blood, no DNA, the taillight damage too minor for a fatal hit. They float. It might have been pre-existing or staged later. Witnesses get a second look. Why did the Alberts wait weeks to talk? Why did Proctor dodge deeper questions? They hint at a party gone sour. John, maybe drunk, maybe mouthy, crosses someone, a scuffle turns deadly, and the cops close ranks, pointing at Karen because she's convenient. An outsider with a cracked taillight and a bad night. It's a story with holes, sure. No smoking gun, no witness to the beating. But it's compelling. A slow burn of suspicion that feeds on every oversight, every coincidence. And as the retrial looms, they're betting it's enough to keep Karen free. Outside the courtroom, the case ignites a firestorm that no one saw coming. A grassroots swell that transforms Karen Reed from defendant to symbol. A woman wronged by a system rotten at its core, and it starts small but grows fast, like dry grass catching a spark. It kicks off in 2022, a handful of locals doubting the police line, whispering about sloppy work. But it's Aidan Kearney, Turtle Boy, a brash blogger with a megaphone, who pours fuel on it, posting daily rants. Karen's framed, the cops did it, follow the ties. His words hit social media. Hashtag Free Karen Reed trends. X lights up with threads dissecting Proctor's texts, the dog scratches, the unsearched house. View counts climb into the tens of thousands, then hundreds. By 2023, it's a movement. Protesters in pink shirts, Karen's unofficial color, flood Canton's streets. Signs waving outside the courthouse. Justice for Karen. Cops lie. They're loud, relentless. Dozens, then hundreds, chanting at hearings, tailing police cars. A sea of fury and faith that Karen's innocent. A scapegoat for a brotherhood shielding its own. Turtle Boy's arrested in late 2023, charged with witness intimidation, but it only fans the flames. Supporters call it retaliation, proof they're onto something. John's family pushes back, heartbroken, their Justice for John signs clashing with the pink wave. They see Karen as guilty, the movement a cruel smear on a good man's memory. The split cuts deep. Canton's a battleground. Neighbors glaring across lawns. Online forums erupting in caps lock wars. National outlets like CNN and NPR picking it up, framing it as a referendum on police trust. By 2024's mistrial, it's a phenomenon. Pink rallies swell, a fundraiser pulls in cash for Karen's defense, and the noise shapes the narrative, pressuring the courts, the DA, everyone. It's not just about her anymore. It's a cause, a roar that won't quiet, and as the retrial nears, it's a wild card no one can ignore. Now we're here. April 9th, 2025, the current date as I speak, and the retrial's barreling toward us, set to start in just weeks. A second chance for both sides to land a knockout blow in a case that's already left bruises on everyone involved. The prosecution's not backing down. Adam Lowley's team is tweaking their playbook, promising a tighter case. Maybe new witnesses from the party, someone who saw Karen and John snap at each other, maybe sharper forensics, a retest of the taillight fragments, or John's clothes for microscopic clues. Maybe a smoother story to dodge the last jury's doubts, leaning harder on those firefighter tapes, the "I hit him, they can't shake." They're hungry. John's family deserves closure, they say, and Karen's freedom's a fluke they'll fix. The defense, though, Jackson's crew, they're digging in too, banking on their conspiracy seed-growing roots. They'll hammer Proctor's bias, the Albert ties, the dog theory, every gap in the first investigation, betting doubt's still their ace. They might call fresh experts, another pathologist, a dog bite specialist, or chase new leads like a partygoer who stayed quiet too long. The stakes? Sky high. An acquittal sets Karen free, maybe clears her name. A conviction could mean life behind bars. Another deadlock just kicks the can, leaving everyone raw. The courtroom's prepping, jury selection's starting soon. Judge Cannon's back, and the evidence is being dusted off. Every exhibit a potential game changer. But it's bigger than that. This retrial's a mirror. Can justice hold when cops are in the crosshairs? When a town's split? When the public's screaming from the sidelines? April 2025's about to light up, and whatever happens, this case won't fade quietly. So here we are, deep into the Karen Read case, a journey from a snowy night in 2022 to a retrial's edge in 2025. And what have we got? A tangle of facts, theories, and feelings that don't quite line up. A story that's as much about what we know as what we can't. We've walked through it all. John O'Keefe's death in that snowbank, Karen's arrest, the prosecution's SUV tale, backed by taillights and tears, the defense's wild swing at a cop cover-up with fists and scratches, the trial's deadlock, the pink-shirted uproar, and now this looming second round. It's a mess. A beautiful, infuriating mess that leaves you wondering who's right, who's lying, who's lost in the middle. Was Karen a woman scorned, liquored up, and lethal, or a pawn in a game she didn't see coming? Was John a victim of love gone wrong, or a casualty of something uglier, buried by his own brothers in blue? The evidence teeters. Taillights with no blood, injuries with no breaks, a confession that's half a question, and the people won't quit. Pink flags flying. John's name still sacred to some. I've pored over this case, lost sleep to it, felt my own trust wobble, and I'm still not sure. Maybe that's the point. That truth's a ghost here, slipping through every crack we try to seal. So what do you think? Guilty, innocent, or stuck in the gray? Drop it in the comments. I'll read every word. Argue back if you're up for it. Hit that like button if this hit you too. Subscribe, ring the bell. We're tackling with next topics soon. And it's another beast. This isn't goodbye to Karen Read. It's a pause, a breath before the retrial writes the next page. Keep questioning, keep searching, and I'll see you in the next deep dive.